Good morning. My name is Matt Jasmine, hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works. Cerise Waiters is the clerk for the hearing. Public Works Bureau of Urban Forestry Inspector Brian Ong will be presenting the hearing items. This hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterwards through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there's no sign-in sheet. So if you'd like to receive information about the results of the hearing, please send an email to the email address listed in the hearing notice. The public hearing is being held to consider two items. Hearing order 211158 to consider removal of 7 trees, total of 3 significant trees, 4 street trees, with replacement adjacent to 3433 3rd Street. Buff has approved 3 significant trees and 2 street trees, and the public has protested. Buff has denied 2 street trees, and the applicant has appealed. This is related to construction permit 796519. The second item is hearing order 211159 to consider removal of 2 street trees with replacement of 1 adjacent to 1810 Lion Street. Buff has approved removal and the public has protested. My job as a hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director will make final determinations. When the director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them. Their hearing will proceed as follows for the hearing items. I will ask Public Works staff to speak first and present the case. Then I will follow by asking the property owner, or in this case, the public, to speak. Then any other members of the public who want to speak. Finally, the department will address any comments that have been made, and we'll open up for any last comments for folks who haven't had a chance to speak. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers. When you hear the first bell, it means that you have 30 seconds left to speak. If you are party to any of the cases today, we will call on you to speak. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, let us know. If you're a member of the public who would like to speak, wait for me to call for public comments. Then use the Zoom raise your hand feature if you're on a computer to get into the queue. And if you're joining by phone, dial *9 to join the queue. When it's your turn to speak, I will call on you. You may need to dial *6 to unmute yourself. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or to the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I feel that a question is warranted, I'll ask the question. After all comments are completed, I'll close the item. Before we consider the hearing items for this hearing, I'll open it up for public comment. Members of the public may address the hearing officer on matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Are there any public comments at this time? Can you confirm that there are no public comments?
We do have 2 hands. Go ahead, Mr. Nolte.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. 2 issues. One, I would appreciate there be no, because you just said that in your how you want to approach the hearing, that normally we don't have rebuttals because that only drags things out. And this is a tree hearing, and when people go back and forth, they're not necessarily talking about trees. They're talking about other parts of the project that may not be produced into the trees that are actually being. This is a tree hearing, not something else. Second issue is that we're coming into the biggest storm of this season for the winter, and I hope that DPW is ready for its response to whatever happens during that storm. So I appreciate DPW's work in dealing with storm readiness for our winter, and look forward to having safe streets in San Francisco after the storm. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments. Are there any other comments?
We do have another comment. Go ahead, Mr. Clip.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Just to be clear, I make this comment as a member of the public and not in my role as a member of the San Francisco Urban Forestry Council. At 13.7%, San Francisco has the smallest urban canopy of any major city in the United States. According to San Francisco Public Works, other major cities average around a 25% tree canopy. So we're almost at half of what other cities average. In 2014, San Francisco rolled out an urban forest plan that called for the net addition of around 2,500 new street trees per year. And in 2021, San Francisco issued a climate action plan that called for a net addition of 40,000 new street trees by 2040. But according to the most recent San Francisco Urban Forestry Council report, since 2017, San Francisco has not net gained a single street tree. In fact, San Francisco has lost around 1,300 street trees. And this loss is set against a backdrop of severe underfunding for the planting of watering of new trees. There is no money for street tree planting set aside in the annual city budget. The majority of funding for street tree planting comes from donations, in lieu fees, increasingly rare grants, and Prop K, which is a fund that is dwindling because it's tied directly to fossil fuel usage in a city and state increasingly featuring electric vehicles. The city's 2021 Climate Action Plan, which was a plan drafted in response to the city's 2019 declaration that we are in a climate emergency, also called for a policy of tree preservation during construction and for infrastructure. And it called for these policies by 2023. It's almost 2025, and we don't have a single city department that's implemented this crucial climate strategy. Notably, the Climate Action Plan didn't call for these policies because they were nice to have. It called for these because they are a need to have as part of a larger plan for San Francisco's future climate resilience. According to our city's own plans, records, and reports, we're failing ourselves and our future by continuing to remove trees without exploring alternatives, by allowing driveways and other private construction and infrastructure to remove healthy trees, and we're not coming close to replacing what we're taking out. And it's against this backdrop of all this, I hope the department will consider the matters on this morning's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay,
there
I
any other
see
comments?
no other hands at this time.
I know we'll begin the hearing. Inspector Brian Ung, will you please present the first order to 11158?
Hello, San Francisco Urban Forestry, Brian Ong. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
The presentation, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this is for tree removal hearing on November 20th, 2024. So our number one goal is to ensure safe, clean, and green infrastructure in the public right of way. BUF's mission is to preserve and grow the urban forest while balancing the safety and needs of a growing and evolving city. So here's just a little background. Street Tree SF, $19 million annually set aside in the city's general fund for Street Tree SF. This is for pruning and maintenance of street trees in the public right of way. In 2016, census was completed to create priorities and a routine for proactive tree pruning schedule for the city's excess of 125,000 street trees. So you can see the gray is what we've completed, and then in all the other green is what we plan to do the rest of the year and then next year. So a tree ordinance establishes authorization and standards for addressing a wide range of issues regarding trees. San Francisco's urban forestry ordinance is codified under Article 16 of the Public Works Code. So to continue on to the hearing, our first order, Public Works Order number 211158 for 3433 3rd Street. This is to consider the removal of 7 trees total, 3 significant trees and 4 street trees, with replacement adjacent to 3433 3rd Street. The staff has approved 3 significant trees and 2 street trees. The public has protested. Buff has denied 2 street trees, and the applicant has appealed. It's construction related for permit number 796519. So here is kind of like a layout of the project over on 3rd Street and Cargo Way. This is their proposed plan. It's the removal of 5 trees with replacement of 14. As of now, there are no trees on Cargo Way, so they will be adding 12 trees along Cargo Way, and the other 2 to create the 14 is the 2 replacement trees on 3rd Street. And then here's kind of just like an overall view of what it looks like now. There's no trees on Cargo Way. You can see some of the significant trees within the property, and then there's a few trees over on 3rd Street, the 4 trees that 2 of them were denied and 2 of them were approved. So this is the first tree on the plan on 3rd Street. This is a Brisbane box tree. It's in poor to fair condition. You can see that it's at a 45-degree angle, leaning slightly into the path of travel. And so this tree was approved for removal because the trenching will destabilize the tree and threaten the health of the tree. So this tree has been approved and can be replaced. Here's some more photos of the tree. You can see that it's leaning into the path of travel. I had to, can't really walk past it next to the basin. You have to duck or hit your head. Second tree, it's a smaller Brisbane box. This is in fair condition. This one, because of the trenching, will destabilize the tree and threaten the health of the tree. So this one has been approved for removal. And then here are some other photos of the tree. And then this is the 3rd tree along 3rd Street. This tree has been denied. You can see that it's in good condition, upright. There's some sidewalk damage, but that can be mitigated by expanding the basin. Here's some other photos of the sidewalk damage and a larger photo of the tree. And then this is the 4th tree at the corner. It's a little close to the traffic signal, but this tree has been denied because it's in fairly good condition, and the sidewalk uplift can be mitigated through basin expansion. And so the 2 trees that were denied, I believe there's no trenching happening at these areas, so that's why we denied the trees for removal. And the other ones were approved because there will be trenching of utilities that will destabilize and threaten the health of the tree. Here's another photo of the tree. As you can see, there's a little bit of sidewalk damage, but they will be redoing the sidewalk, and then we can have them expand the basin. And then this is one of the significant trees along 3rd Street. It's in fair to good condition, multi-stem, which is not that great for this species. And there are signs of anthracnose, and it's also in the footprint of the proposed building. So this tree has been approved for removal. Here is the second significant tree, eucalyptus tree. This one is in good condition, but unfortunately it is in the footprint of the proposed building, so it has been approved. And here are some other photos of the tree. And then this is the 3rd significant tree. Another eucalyptus tree right next to the other one. It's in fair to good condition. Again, it is in the footprint of the proposed building, so it has been approved. Here's another photo of the tree. So to be consistent with how we deal with similar cases, we have approved the 5 trees for removal and denied 2. That's the end of that presentation. Oh, Matt, I'm done with that
Great.
order.
Thank you for that. I will ask any members of the public who would like to comment.
But this is Josh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Before I say anything though, we have the applicant speak first. I don't know if that's happening today.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. I don't know if that is happening today. Is the applicant available for comment?
Yes, they are in attendance. Maybe Cindy or do you have someone to speak on behalf of the project?
Yes, this is Cindy with Equity Community Builders, and we have a short presentation, and 2 of us would like to speak on the presentation.
Okay, just one moment. I'm going to promote you to panelists. Who is going to be speaking?
It will be me, I'm Cindy, and Connor, who's with our landscape architect.
Okay, I see. Okay, just one moment, please.
Thank you.
You'll see the invitation to come over, and then I'll need you to accept and come over as a panelist.
Okay, great. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. I am going to share my screen.
Okay, and then once you begin speaking, you will have 3 minutes, and then I'm sorry. Because I'm having a few issues, Brian, are you able to, okay, you removed your share screen.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so okay, now it's right. Boy, we had some issues this morning. Okay. Are you both speaking? You will have 3 minutes each, or is one speaking and one's presenting?
We're each going to speak, so I will start and I will wrap up in
Okay.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, as soon as you start, I'll begin the timer. Thank you.
Can everyone see my screen with the presentation?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So thank you everyone for being in attendance. My name is Cindy Rankatori. I'm with Equity Community Builders. We're the owner's rep for the owner, who is the Carpenters Union Local 22 in San Francisco. We're proposing to build a new 2-story, 16,000 square foot building that will serve as the union's meeting hall and office space. The meeting hall will be for about 300 plus union members to gather, as well as provide office space for existing and future staff on the 1st and 2nd floor of the building. So I'm just showing a nice nighttime view rendering, as well as an aerial map of where the site is located at the corner of 3rd Street and Cargo Way. So this is a view of Cargo Way where you can, I'm just giving an introduction to the project so you can see kind of what we're looking at building. This is the full elevation view on Cargo Way. The right side of the screen is where the meeting hall will be, the 2-story meeting hall, and then the left side of the building is where we'll have office space and storage and restrooms on the 1st and 2nd floors. The 3rd photo I'm showing is of the prominent corner where this site is located. So as I said, it's located on the corner of 3rd Street and Cargo Way. In this rendering, you can see the line of new street trees on Cargo Way that we'll be planting, And there's just one shot of a street tree on the corner of 3rd Street. I'm going to pass it off to Connor, who's with Methuen Landscape Architecture, who's our landscape architect for this project. And he will review the trees that we're proposing for removal and replacement. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Connor Fahey. I am a landscape architect at Methuen, and I will be providing some details on the tree removal plan at the new headquarters of the Carpenters Union in San Francisco. So as Matt and Brian have already run down, we are appealing the denial for removal of trees 154 and 155 and are proposing to have those removed and replaced in the streetscape. In its existing state, our project site is home to 3 mature trees and 4 street trees along 3rd Street. As part of the development, we are planning to remove the 3 trees on site and the 4 street trees for the following reasons. First, the new Carpenters Union building stands at the intersection of Cargo and 3rd Street, and we will need to remove trees 151, 152, and 153 as they site within the proposed building footprint. We are also required to replace the existing sidewalks along Cargo Way and 3rd Street, and here the intensity of demolition and reconstruction of the sidewalk will disrupt and shock the existing street trees and lead to further decline in tree health. In conjunction to the building and site construction, the arborist report denoted that trees 154 through 157 all exhibited poor to fair health, with root-related hardscape displacement, poor nursery stock and planting installation, minimal growth since 2009, and a replacement of a failing tree in 2017. And for these reasons, we recommend the removal of trees 154, 155, 156, and 157. As for tree replacement, Cindy, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. As for tree replacement, we will be performing a direct replacement of trees 154, in their current locations due to active sewer lines running directly below these existing tree locations. For this reason, we will be planting additional street trees along Cargo Way. Our proposed site plan will increase our total number of street trees also be increasing our total number of site trees from 3 to 17 for a net gain of 14 new trees. Thank you to the board and the members of the public for your time and attention.
Now we'll go to any members of the public who would like to address this hearing item.
Would you like me to stop sharing or keep it up?
Yes, I will go ahead and return you to the status of attendee. Are there any other persons from your project who will be speaking before we go to the public, or no? That's it.
We are done with our presentation.
They're
Thank
done.
you.
Okay, just a moment.
Thanks for
Okay.
that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Please go ahead and stop sharing, I guess, for
Yes.
for the purposes. Yeah.
So I see Josh Clip and one other hand raised. Should we move to Josh Clip?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. New trees along Cargo Way are not a gift. That's a legal requirement of new construction. But frankly, all this empty block proves is the point that the city has failed to plant trees in places they should have been planted years ago. But just note that that tree didn't grow at a 45-degree angle. It was planted and then ignored, probably knocked over by someone or vandalized, and the city never fixed it, which is something that happens a lot in the southeast part of the city. And the southeast part of the city has one of the smallest tree canopies in the whole city. And this is also part of the city that has the most amount of air pollution, which is why those rare tree planting grants I mentioned in my opening comments are targeted to the southeast part of the city because it's considered an issue of environmental justice. The fact that this part of the city is so under-canopied and overpolluted is a reason we need to be protecting these trees. And that's exactly why the policies I mentioned in my opening comments are in the Climate Action Plan, because this is not a plan of just climate resilience. It's also a plan of climate and environmental justice and equity. And what I heard in the city's proposal, in the city's presentation this morning, was a lot of, well, unfortunately, it's in the footprint of the proposed building, and unfortunately, there's going to be trenching, and so these are approved for removal. But what I did not hear was any discussion on how the department pushed back on any of this. No discussion on how the department was involved in the planning process and the approval of these building plans, or what alternatives were considered, or anything like that. Just sort of unfortunately, and so here we go. We're not talking about building homes here. We're talking about building a large commercial space in a city that is struggling to fill thousands of vacant commercial spaces in neighborhoods desperate for revitalization to attract the kind of attention that a building like this would attract to their neighborhood. And all of this in cumulative points to a failure of our city departments to A, even think about the climate action plan and the policies it calls for, or B, perhaps offer some incentive to utilize existing struggling vacant commercial spaces, or C, offer any meaningful protection for trees that have somehow managed to establish and thrive despite years of neglect in a neighborhood that needs it the most. So on these bases, I respectfully object to any removal. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I see Josh Nolte has his hand raised.
Good afternoon, good morning.
Josh.
Yes, so the supervisor for this district, when he came in office 8 years ago, plotted out all the plots to put in for this neighborhood. And so this is a continuation of his work, having these trees sure to be in there. So my issue is that and why I appeal this is because you're putting a commercial building and you just want to drop it into the site, and you have no respect for the community, the neighbors, the trees that are there, and also the quality of life for the neighborhood. So, you know, it's great the union wants to put their hall there, but they have no consideration for the trees that are existing inside the property and outside the property, and they didn't think of how to mitigate these issues, and also do more than what's required by the city to add more trees to this neighborhood, since this tree lacks and is the canopy that desperately needs for this neighborhood, which is a semi-industrial zone. So it would behoove the union to think about before they go forward and stop trying to appeal Buff's decision, to do something to mitigate their building requirements, so that there's some health issues, so that it'd be healthy for their members and healthy for the community to add more trees to the site and or to adjacent locations. So that would help the not enough canopy in that neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments. Hearing officer Waiters, are there any other public comments?
I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Inspector Ung, are there any follow-up comments that you would like to make addressing the public comments?
Brian Ong, Urban Forestry. I have no other comments to make.
Seeing no other requests for comment, I'll now close this item and make recommendations to the director. Moving on to order number 211159. Inspector Ong, will you present this order?
Brian Ong, Urban Forestry. So this Public Works order number 211159 for 1810 Lion Street. This is to consider the removal of 2 street trees with replacement of 1 adjacent to 1810 Lion Street. Bluff has approved the removal and the public has protested. As you can see, this is the first tree. There's two trees here, two ficus trees, about 30 feet tall. Conditions are very poor. You can see, I'll show some photos, but both trees have extensive history of branch and stem failures, imbalanced crowns, cankers throughout the trunks with evidence of decay within the cankers. Limbs have poor structure and poor unions with pervasive included bark. So both these trees have been approved for removal with replacement of one tree. So here is a photo of both trees. You can see some of the cankers that are pointed out, which is not typical of this tree. And our inspector noted some decay within those cankers. Also, this is tree number one. You can see some poor unions with included bark, which create weakly attached limbs that are prone to failure. And then you can see, because of those poor unions, there's some past failures of the tree. You can kind of see some of the wounds, and the tree has dropped some limbs in the past, and you can kind of see some of the decay within those unions. So here's another photo of the trees, the two trees. So they're both approved to be removed with replacement of one if you shift the basin because of utilities. So to be consistent with how we deal with similar cases, Public Works has approved the trees and the public has protested. And this is not part of any permit or anything. Our inspector was inspecting another tree next to this, a dead ficus next door, and just saw these two trees, and the two trees decided that they needed to come out. That's the end of my presentation.
So there's no applicant.
No applicant, just maybe the homeowner and then the protester.
Is the homeowner available for a comment?
I think it's Robert.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we've lived at this property for 14 years, and every couple of years, a large branch of these diseased ficus trees would crash to the ground, and fortunately, no one was injured, but some of these branches were over 200 pounds. As you can see from the nice presentation from Mr. Ong, the trees are quite diseased. They don't have a long time to go. On top of that, the roots are by our sewer line and power line, and that's why if they're removed, we can replace it with a healthy tree that won't interfere with the sewer line and the power line. We live in the house right behind it, and my wife and I will pay to have the new trees put in. We will maintain it and make sure it's healthy. And it's just a matter of time before these unsafe trees fail. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. I see two hands raised. It appears that Josh Clip is prepared to make comment, public comment.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, under the amendments to the Public Works Code, Article 16 that were made in February 2022, both trees need to be replaced, not just one. If a tree can't be replaced in the same location, then it needs to be replaced in a location as nearby as possible. The law also notes that if a tree cannot be replaced immediately, it needs to be noted on a deferred replacement list. I think the department finally has created this list, but in the spirit of transparency, I would appreciate it if the department could inform the public here today approximately how many trees are already on that list ahead of these, and what would be the projected timeline for their replacement, if there is any projected timeline. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? See John Nolte is prepared to make a comment.
Yes, good morning. This seems to be a systematic, it was pointed out that an inspector was there to the tree quelling next door. There are ficus trees on both sides of the street on Lion. So it seems to be systematically just deciding to take out the ficus trees, for whatever reason, even though they give a nice little description why. We have already in past hearings with dealing with ficus trees, we usually first go to, which I didn't hear, is pruning, extensive pruning. This has gone on multiple neighborhoods, and we have actually saved the trees because the prunings were done. And since the city has taken over these trees like 5 years ago in 2016, these trees should have been pruned before then. And if they were pruned before then, therefore these trees would be in better shape, and therefore we wouldn't see what we see right now. And so this is sort of not the fault of the property owner, but fault of the city not maintaining these trees correctly, and also pruning them so that we won't have such a as some of the things that were described would not necessarily be there. And also, so I do fault the city for not maintaining the trees, and also targeting ficus trees. And I would like to know that number of how many ficus trees they have removed from the city since the beginning of 2016, because I didn't get it correct. When I asked for that information, I couldn't get it. So I think this is this is a systematically thing going on with ficus trees. And it's one of the top 10 trees planted in the city, and you're removing major canopy in the city for unknown reasons because of one order from a misguided head of the department that doesn't live there anymore, doesn't work there anymore, and this shows. And other cities maintain their ficus trees.
30 seconds.
Going down a list in California. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments. Clerk Waiters, are there any other public comments?
I don't see any more hands from the public, and the hand that I keep seeing is the owner, but he has already spoken once. So I would advise that if there's any more testimony, that anyone is able to submit it through writing to our email address that I had put in the chat.
Thank you for that. I do have a couple questions. Inspector Ong, first, can you clarify which of the two trees, tree 1 or tree 2, will be the replacement location?
Brian Ong, Urban Forestry. So the replacement location will probably be in between both of the trees. As from this photo on the right hand side, it's a different property, so the replacement tree should be on the same property. It looks like there's maybe a driveway, but it'll be to the left of tree 1. So either by tree 2 in the middle, or I'm not exactly sure if there's a driveway or not on the other side. It'll be probably closer to tree 2, I'd say.
And is there no other space within this proximity to plant another tree that would not impact sewer or other utilities?
No, yeah, there's only room for one tree like this. Yeah. Unfortunately, these two trees are about maybe less than 10 feet away from each other. And then I believe there's another dead tree on the other side of this property to the left. And there will most likely be a replacement tree for that as well. So with the spacing and utilities, only one tree can be planted at this location.
Thank you. So as far as the deferred replacement list and planting another tree within the proximity, I just want to follow up on Mr. Clip's comment around
Yeah.
timelines for replacement or and designating another location for the second tree.
Yeah, Brian Ong, Urban Forestry. At the moment, I do not have that offhand of the replacement list, but we can definitely go ahead and get that to the applicant or the protesters as soon as possible.
And as part of this, will there be a formal designation for the replacement of the second tree?
If we cannot find one like across the street, it has to be like within a certain radius. So if it's not across the street or something like that, or next to the property, or within the block, honestly, then we'd have to put it on the list if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Okay. And I just wanted to circle back, Mr. Nolte's comment about the number of ficus trees removed. Is that a list or a database that the city is maintaining?
We don't have like an active list of how many ficus trees we removed. We can run a report to see, what has been removed and a certain species. Yeah, we can run a list and see how many ficus trees have been removed since X amount or whatever date is chosen.
Okay.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
but we do see a lot of failures within the ficus trees. There was like a ficus removal ordinance a few years ago. And so we've kind of gotten away from that. But if we do see something that meets a certain criteria, then we try to be a little more proactive about removing some of the ficus trees.
Understood. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate your comments. Are there any other public comments on any items not on the agenda? If there are no other public comments, then we'll close the hearing. Can you confirm, Clerk Waiters, if there are no other public comments?
There are no other hands.
Okay. With that, the hearing is now closed. I will submit my recommendations to the director.